must unite what has been set asunder.
We are TFR. Truth Frequency Radio.
I enticed her into the woods with words worth dying for. Dropped her on the daisies with praises worthy of the moment. Now, the moment lost, night and fading words. Welcome, friends. I'm your host, Zen Garcia. This is Secrets Revealed here on Truth Frequency Radio. And we have as special guest with us this evening, Amber Plaster. Have as co-host with me always, Cathy Dunson. Cathy, are you there, sister?
I am. Good evening, everybody.
And thank you all for taking the time to join us this evening. We are now broadcasting live on Thursdays prime time rather than on Saturdays. And I know that people are still getting used to that, but we do, again, thank you for taking the time to fellowship with us this evening. Amber, are you there, sister?
I am here. Hello.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us and for your willingness to come on. We're very excited to have you as guests and to be able to share your story. Cathy made me first aware of your music and your revelation as far as coming to truth on this topic and the very creative way that you have brought out this truth to the community. And I know that your work has touched many people and affected them in a different manner than a lot of people's work. And so for that, we really appreciate you, because we need that kind of creative inspiration and that kind of, as far as bringing forth this truth in different manner than a lot of what is already out there with regard to the video making. And even though there's a lot of music going on and songs being created, you have a different flair and a different style. And so can you talk about that and where people can go to listen to the songs that you have created, your collaborations, and and also your upcoming or projects that you have that you're working on now?
Yes. Wow. There's so much I kept wanting to say while you were talking about all of that, but it's definitely been adventurous and a new journey for me. I kind of gave up on music for a little while prior to the Hello cover of Flat Earth going viral. But it kind of opened up the doors for me and it made me realize that my talent is not only needed, but something I should be pursuing, because I've always been huge on writing songs about what's true to me, what I think people need to question in their own lives, to search deeper in any matter, no matter how long you've believed a certain thing or fact or whatever. Just I'm always wanting people to join the journey of searching with me. But the Flat Earth Hello cover took me even by surprise, because it was really something I just did for fun and shared with a small handful of people. And the way that it took off made me feel like that's what God wanted to do with it. And so it made me feel like, wow, I gave up. I was on this journey of like giving up music and moving on to something else creative. And then once I finally let go, it was like God did this big thing for me. And not just for me, for the community that I had no idea was growing as quickly as it was, that people were starving for more than just facts within the community and debates and arguments, but art. Art is one of those things that brings us all together, whether it's music or dance or painting, whatever. And I feel really, really grateful to be a part of the art portion of this truth community.
Yeah, I'm a writer. I've been writing books, articles, poems for a very long time, but there's something extraordinarily powerful about mixing words with song and then backing up lyrics with instrumentals or whether it's DJ mixes or whatever it is. When you combine those two elements, you reach a wider array, diversity of people, and
Right.
for some reason, more people are open to listening to a song and hearing the creative capacity of the music combined with the lyrics rather than reading a 300-page book,
Right.
or
Absolutely.
yeah. And so I think that with the medium that you are working in, you have just a an awesome manner and method of reaching and touching a lot of people's lives in a very creative way. And so I think that what you are doing is very powerful, and we would hope that you would continue in your endeavors. But if you would, talk about the songs that you already have available, and then what you are planning going into the future.
Well, there's currently 3 songs out right now that are flat Earth um, themed, I guess you could say. um, the first one that went out was obviously the Hello Flat Earth cover of Adele's song Hello. And then I wrote another one with David Henses, who is in the UK currently. He kind of reached out to me, and we started talking about how cool it would be to make a flat Earth album. And so we started with one song. It's called Star Trails. You can find it on my YouTube channel, Amber Plaster. It's also Levana Lama. I'm not exactly sure if that's the whole call name, or title of her channel, but hopefully, I don't know if you can post links later or something to those. I can send them to you. But
Yes, we will do
so
that.
Star Trails is an all original song, which was kind of cool, I think, to put out there that, I'm not just doing covers and I'm not just copying melodies. And so David and I hopefully will be writing more songs, and we're really trying to push an album before the conference in November. And then ODD, or Mike Jack, and he actually wrote the lyrics to Earth Not a Globe, the Moana Disney cover that we did, and asked me to sing it. And I felt so awesome. I was like, yes, I'll absolutely sing it. And he loved it. And so we threw that out there. So those are the 3 songs that are out right now. But definitely really trying to crack down on getting a full album done, because I'm not sure if the Moana one could go on an album. There's probably a bunch of legal stuff with that, and as well as the Adele cover. So I don't know how that all works yet, but we're trying. And I don't know, it might be a collaboration with a lot of different flat Earth believers and their music and art. I think that would be kind of cool. But I don't have too many details yet, so people will just have to keep watching.
Well, I'm sure that, at the conference, you're going to meet a lot of people,
Yeah.
and a lot of creative minds, and that there will be a lot of collaborations inspired and established from, making those connections.
Mm-hmm.
I just think that, when people have a chance to come together in like mind and fellowship with one another, all in one setting, in
Right.
one place at the same time, that's just going to be a huge boom for what will come out of, even what has already been done as far as the efforts of people in sharing truth with regard to this as topic. And so, this is really, it's the beginning. The fire is just being lit, and
Yes.
it's going to rage, it's going to.
Yes.
Yeah,
I find it extremely interesting that there's flat Earth believers all over the world, and it's like we're strategically placed for a reason. There's not these huge. Everyone's like, "Why are you so far away?" and "Why are you so far away?" and I think that this conference is going to be a cool experience. Everybody coming in, even maybe a handful of people from other countries, and actually getting together and bringing that, I guess you could call it, power of numbers,
right,
and to really get this thing moving and get the truth out there.
Right. And with the many people that are going to be speakers and presenters, there, they at the conference, these are already the movers and shakers within the community, and they are, people like yourself and others are already inspiring so many others to do or to pick up their own niche and to share it with the world in whatever way. And as far as the creative side of it, and you mentioned as far as the being a catalyst for those that have the artistic gifts to manifest their talents in such whatever way it is, with music or with photography or song or posters or artwork or books, whatever. It's all really just beginning. And the awesome thing about this as revelation is that this is truth, and we have God on our side as well, and that those that are being brought to understanding on the geocentric biblical cosmology, the circle of the earth encapsulated by the vaulted dome, that all of these things are found within the scriptures and have been encoded there for thousands of years, and that now that we have this understanding, all of this is coming together in new light and new manner, and it's amazing to watch and to know and to see.
Yes, it absolutely is.
Yes. Well, when we come back from break, we'll talk more about as far as your journey of awakening, with regard to how you came to this knowledge. But first, can you speak about your group? Because you said that it was instrumental in bringing you to this truth, and that it was started by one of your junior high friends. And so can you give us the background on that?
Yeah, absolutely. Nathan Thompson started the group, Official Flat Earth and Globe Discussion Group. And I think there was maybe 200 to 300 people in the group by the time I got an invite. And I hadn't talked to Nathan in probably 15 years, and was like, what? I didn't even really remember that I was friends with him. And why did I get invited to this, satire group of nonsense? And, but I just started reading the posts just out of curiosity of what in my mind this kid was up to these days. And I just started being blown away by how serious people were talking about it, and how serious Nathan was about it. And so, for a couple weeks, I couldn't sleep. It's like I wanted to figure this out. I started to feel really confused. But then one morning I was reading Genesis, and I hadn't even planned it. I wasn't like, I'm going to go look up these scriptures. I don't think anybody was even posting scriptures yet. It was more just facts, like, water being level and physics and stuff like that. A lot of stuff that I don't even comprehend or whatever. But I was reading the first chapter of Genesis, and I felt the Holy Spirit just hit me so hard when I started reading about the firmament and where the sun and the moon were placed, and that it was motionless and stationary, and all of these key words that I've looked over and paid no attention to for years and years and years. And now that I had this question already in the back of my mind, it opened the door for God's truth and his word to just be like, yes, this is it. Yes, it's okay that you've missed it for these years, but now you know. And it's like, I didn't have to get angry. I wasn't upset. I could say I was a little confused, or I just had a lot of questions because it was like this whole new world,
Right.
And I started, whenever I would walk outside, everything just looked different. Every single thing looked different. Flowers were different. The sea, the waves, the sand, the rocks, the cliffs, everywhere I went, it was like, oh my gosh, God loves me. It was this huge, like, I couldn't believe it as much as I believed it so quickly. And so I started, after I made my first post on Instagram about flat earth, and it was more of a question. I can't even remember exactly what it was, but that's when I decided I'm going to start telling people, because I really do believe this, even though I don't have all the answers yet, and I can't answer everybody's questions, but I'm jumping on this journey. And so Nathan made me an admin of the group, and we just, started adding people and talking to people. And I haven't been very involved lately because I've been so busy with life and work and writing. And but the group has grown so much, and it's been so awesome. And the Flat Earth song the idea actually came from Nathan as well. He made a joke about Adele and was just saying hello from the other side or the Flat Earth side. And I was like, hey, that's funny. We should do a parody. And then it just all happened so quickly. So
yeah, that's amazing.
But yeah.
And so how many members now?
I think it just hit 30,000.
Wow,
34.
34. Okay, yeah. I haven't been in there in a couple days, so.
Yeah.
But
and it's just snowballing now.
Yeah. I think it's just a little over a year.
Wow, that is amazing.
Yeah.
Because I don't have time to keep up with all the different groups, but I did notice when I was initially involved in sharing some of the information that I had uncovered and discovered in studying the scriptures and having new eyes, really, because now that we have this understanding, there's so much that presents itself to us in new manner and forces us to consider and think about these things, even like the story of Joshua, where he was given the power by the Most High to stop the sun and the moon in their movement, or in Isaiah, the sun going back 10 degrees on the sundial. How all of those cryptic, esoteric stories came to new light with new understanding. And it's just what a profound blessing. But
Amber, on Patricia's show, when she interviewed you, you said something that I really have seen myself and agree with. And that's these are some really smart people who are doing the researching and making the videos. They're very thoughtful and they're very smart, quite to the contrary of how they're portrayed, how people would like us to think that, we're the idiots.
Right.
Flat Earth, it's, really dumb conspiracy. It's not that at all.
No.
It's the exact opposite, really.
Yeah.
And I find too that, like in this group, that if people will go to them and look through the comments, you'll see a lot of people who are just doing their own independent research, and they will share some information. You can find some real nuggets of information there. Or on Twitter, there's someone that I follow called Dome Dweller, and this person goes through and finds old newspaper clippings, and I found some really old, early 20th century of hot air balloons beside the Picard one. And so this stuff is all over, and that's what's exciting. There's so much going on all across, the spectrum.
Right. Yeah, it's really interesting to see.
Yeah, that is the other side of it. The other amazing aspect of it is that now that we have the understanding of this as being biblical truth, going back and looking back on history and what occurred, the debate, because, so many of us believe that all of this was settled by science 500 years ago, and that there was really no debate. But yet, in reality, there's been a raging debate ongoing. William Carpenter's 100 Proof That the Earth is Not a Globe, Terra Firma with Wardlaw Scott, the other Parallax, the Samuel Burley Robotham, all of they wrote books, treatises about this ongoing debate and how the Copernican heliocentric system was all based on lies, and that it was, built upon and established upon lies, and that there were so many scientific experiments which are repeatable even today, like the Bedford Level experiment, that we can go out and we can test anywhere that we are, any one of us in the world, go to a place where there's a flat level plane of more than 3 miles or so, and you can absolutely detect that there is no measurable curvature, and also test that the Earth is not moving. And so those two simple facts alone totally destroy and negate the whole Darwinian heliocentric worldview. And so no matter what you think about the shape of the earth, it's in no way moving, and nor is there any curvature. And so that forces us to reassess everything. And then, people looking back like Pastor Dean Odell and discovering the Auguste Piccard, the August 1931 issue, where he talks about going up and setting this world record, looking down upon the earth and describing it as a flat disc with upturned edges. I mean,
that was one of my first posts.
Oh, yeah, exactly. I mean, and those kind of things are absolutely mind-blowing, and they're confirming witness to the fact that, this is truth. One other thing with regard to you being a moderator, just like Carly joined us in the chat room, and she is also a moderator with the group Flat and Happy. You being a moderator, even though we don't have all the answers, and this is still relatively new to so many people, in doing that, in sharing discussion and open dialogue with other people, it forces you to have to learn and to come to discernment on all angles and aspects of this as topic. And so it's in sharing conversation, even with what we're doing now, that we are learning together and coming to fuller discernment on the truth. And so, God bless all of you that are moderators and that are answering the questions and that are fielding all of the interests of so many people, because I know that takes so much time and so much effort, but it's so very necessary. And so God bless those of you that do it.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, our Flat Earth and official discussion group we have quite a few moderators now too, and they just do such an amazing job at keeping the peace as much as possible before, sometimes you just got to kick them out if they're not there to learn,
right.
And
the trolls,
and that's okay
trolls.
if that, you have the trolls, and then you have just people that are angry too. So instead of wanting to figure it out or have a nice conversation. So a shout out to that group, guys. If anybody's listening, you guys are awesome, and we appreciate all that you do.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're right. You can try to share dialogue and share adult conversation with people, but there are those that are, in my opinion, the paid shills, the paid trolls.
Yeah.
And they're just there to disrupt and to create a bunch of negative energy in order to drive people away from even considering or opening themselves to the possibilities of this.
Right.
And, I just recently, speaking about old high school friends, I was contacted by one of my oldest friends, and it was so funny. He said, "What happened to you?" Speaking about me posting about flat Earth, and on my Facebook page, I have a photograph of the flat horizon with the sun, in close proximity above, casting a hot spot. And he's just like, I haven't got a chance to answer him yet, but I did see that, and I'm like, the truth is what happened to me. It
changes you. It really does.
Yeah, absolutely.
Every truth changes you more, and I just think it's so beautiful. I mean, flat Earth was not the first lie I discovered, but every single one of them has led to what I believe, and how I've just changed and grown so much. And it's sad that people not everyone's going to go on the journey with you, and you just have to let everybody go at their own pace. And
yes,
I feel grateful to have met such a community of people that genuinely care about, even though we're all at different levels of what we know and what we don't, and what we've dug deep into and what we haven't, but everybody's, so here's what I have, and here's what I found, and come check this out. And just the spreading of information is it's so awesome. I love watching it.
Yes, absolutely. And these communities of truth seekers, this is really what it was about with regard to the first century, the church, as Rob talks about the virtual house church, how people were just gathering together over meals and sharing conversations, talking about the truths that they discovered and the things that led them to understand in the way that they were. And they were just looking for others of like mind to share community with. And really, that's what we're doing. And so these different groups are like the church community. And it's my opinion that because the mainstream churches are so steeped in paganism and idolatry, that we're being called out of them, and that we are being called to gather in the way that we are with regard to these online communities and sharing fellowship, even on different radio broadcasts like we're doing now. Because I feel like those that come to my shows, we're like a church, a gathering, a church community, and sharing the gospel truth in the way that we are. All right, we'll be right back, everyone. All right, welcome back, everybody. In this segment, Amber, I'd like for you to speak about your journey to awakening and just how you've come kind of to be where you are now with regard to the different conspiracies that you're hip on, 9/11, government-sponsored terror, vaccines, anything that you'd like to share in the course of you becoming what you are and coming to where you are now.
Actually, when 9/11 happened, I think I was 16, and I remember watching all the news with my mom, and I was shocked. I was like, oh my gosh, how could this happen to America? You have this totally prideful view of being an American, and what your teachers have told you, we're the best and we're this and we're everybody wants to live here, all of this stuff. And something just felt weird. Like it didn't add up, but I really didn't think about it for a couple more years. And then I started looking. I don't even know how I found the first video that I did on YouTube, but one video about 9/11 and all the missing pieces and all the things that didn't add up and all the things that didn't make sense led me to video after video after video. And it almost became this obsession. I was watching so many videos, and then those lead into more spiritual things and more secrets. And then you get into the occult and Satanism and all of this stuff. And it was just like, I was getting so deep. And
New World Order. Yeah.
Yes. All of it. The New World, the what are those black coffins, and what are they planning for us? And are they going to kill us all? And, I had to take a break after a while because it was getting a little too, I have to live life still, and I have to still love people, and I have to still be out there fellowshipping and
it's a hard burden to carry. So
right. And it's like, to everybody else, you sound like you're depressed and you're, you're a doomsdayer and all this stuff. And it's like, no, I'm not. I'm mad, yes, that I've been lied to, and that, maybe they're planning something, and yes, I have no control over it, but don't you want to know the truth? Like, I know you want to go shopping, and I know you want to, go to the movies and have all your parties and all that stuff, but don't you want to know the truth? And it became hard to even talk to people about it because everybody has this negative view of you and what you're into, and that you're believing everything. And
conspiracy
it's like, no.
theorists.
Yeah. And I'm like, no, I'm not believing everything anymore. I'm questioning everything now.
Yeah.
Because when you take what somebody tells you and you go search it for yourself, and then you add another puzzle piece, every single puzzle piece has brought me obviously to this new picture of my life. But, so flat earth I've only known about flat earth since, July. So coming up on a year now, but this has been the biggest one by far for me because it made all the other ones make sense, that they're false flags. And, are we really fighting terror, or are we causing the terror? Are we really fighting drugs, or are we bringing in the drugs? It's like, it all makes sense. And then having something as big as the globe, it's like, of course we all believed everything else because we've believed that we're spinning on this crazy ball with nowhere to go.
Mm-hmm.
Of course they can lie about everything else. Of course we would believe them.
Right. Yeah. This one is a huge paradigm shift. I mean, even just coming to terms with 9/11 and realizing that you can't trust the doctors and you can't trust,
Yeah.
as far as the vaccines, you can't trust the government to take care of you. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, and that there's certain aspect of government, the shadowy part of it, which is conspiring against us.
Mm-hmm.
The whole reason why we still have open borders to this day, and yet we're what 16 years into a supposed war against terror,
Yeah.
on terror or of terror. I mean, come on. How do you allow the borders to be wide open if you're, trying to fight a war on terror? And that's just
Right.
ludicrous. But anyways, it's those kind of things which force people to have to reconsider all that we thought we knew with regard to truth.
Yeah.
And it's in opening yourself to new possibility and making such reconsideration that we are forced to really look at the ugly side of truth and to embrace those things which we don't want to, because nobody wants to believe, we're all patriots. We love our country. We love our flag. We support the soldiers. We don't want to believe that our leaders are leading them into wars of aggression
Right.
against countries that had nothing to do with, the terrorism that took place on American soil. And
Yeah.
and that's the sad thing, is for our soldiers, that they're being used as fodder. They're being sent off to fight these wars against people that had nothing to do with bringing terrorism to American shores and of
Right.
endangering our families, and that's a hard pill to swallow.
It really
And
is.
and then talking to others about it, that's even more difficult. Can you speak about that, as far as, because I think all of us have learned to kind of tread lightly and
Yeah.
to not, try to force these kind of things upon
Yeah.
our loved ones. But if you would talk about that as well.
Yeah. It's been interesting. I started talking about just kind of throwing out little hints of, can I talk to this person about something? It started with 9/11, and then it started about, or went into even the holidays that we celebrate as
Yes.
Americans, really started to bother me, because I grew up loving, Christmas and Easter and all of this fun, festive stuff with my churches and my family. And then it's like, when you start seeing through all of it just by one little truth that somebody showed you, and everything else that surrounds what you used to love, and you watch your family still love it, it's really hard. You feel isolated, and it's like,
Mm-hmm.
nobody should be isolated. We should be coming together and talking about these things. And what are we really celebrating? Or what are our troops really fighting for? Because, there's a point where the secrets start, and you think you're fighting for one thing, and you're out there doing someone else's dirty work.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so sad, and it's so heartbreaking, especially when people are losing their lives,
Yeah.
because it's so sensitive. You can't just talk to people and be like, well, that's not what they're fighting for. You need to
Mm-hmm.
come to the reality, and you need to come to truth. And it's not easy. It's really heartbreaking. And,
Yes.
even the last few Christmases have been difficult for me, because I'm like, don't get me anything. I'm not going to
Right.
participate. I'm not putting up a tree. This is why. I'll tell you, I'm not going to not tell you why, but
Right.
at the same time, I know that I'm going to get the looks, and I'm, well, this is about Jesus, and, this is his resurrection or his birth or whatever. And I'm like, is it really though? Because
Right.
here's what I've learned, take it or leave it. And, you just get the eye rolls, and it's
Mm-hmm.
sad, because you want your loved ones to see the truth. You don't want them to keep walking in lies. But
Right.
yeah, it's really difficult. I try to tread really lightly and just love on people, and, just mention things like, hey, I've been looking into this. What do you think?
Right.
And
Right.
and kind of opening up that dialogue, instead of being like, well, this is how it is.
Right.
That doesn't ever really go over well.
Hmm. Yeah. No, most people, when you, uh, confront them with a reality or a truth that they're not willing to look at, they're not going to listen to you anyways. And then
Right.
you're going to become the enemy. They're just going to run the other way as fast as they can, and they're going to label you a nutcase. And so none
Yep.
of that helps anybody. And so, yeah, I've learned to honor people for where they are and to share and to bring forth discussion, plant seeds, but
Hmm.
not force anybody. Don't throw the
Right.
pearls before the swine. And when they're ready, I'm there to engage in conversation, to guide and direct people to truth. But if
Right.
they're not ready, I was once there. I didn't always know these things, and so
Yeah, I
I
think it's
just choose to
important to let
respect.
people,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to
No, no,
interrupt, but
go please.
I do think it's important that people, you know, we can post things on social media or drop hints of opening up dialogue with people, but being using that discernment in where they're at is really important because you they're going to remember when they hear another truth from somebody else or they see something that doesn't add up on Fox News or whatever.
Hmm.
They're going to know who to come to, even
Right,
though you've been walking this road alone around all of these zombies, so to speak. um,
right,
and and that's kind of a cool feeling too, because it's like, okay, well, when they're ready, they know they can come and ask me,
right,
and I'll share whatever I know, and out of love and out of, genuine longing for them to see what I see as truth.
right, right. Yeah, the fact that they have somewhere to go to
Right.
gain some guidance. I mean, because for a lot of people in their awakening, the journey is so lonely. There's
Hmm.
nobody to talk to. There's nobody to share conversation with, and it was like this for me initially when I first woke up, and when I began to learn about 9/11 and things like that. That's all I wanted to speak about, all I wanted to talk
Right.
about, and nobody wanted to hear
Yeah.
anything of it. It reminds me of a question that Cathy had asked me about, our parents, and about how even though we want more than anything for our loved ones to know the truth and to be able to share with them in these really um, kind of advanced discussions, but yet my parents, they didn't know anything about all this stuff, and it wasn't necessary for their salvation. They
Right.
were believers in Christ. They loved the Lord. They followed the commandments as best they could. They did what they could to be good people, and it's not necessary for everybody to have all of this understanding and all of this
Yeah.
truth. But God does have His elect, and the elect, the minority, they're but a few, and those that do come to the truth of these kind of things. I think as watchmen that we have a responsibility
Right.
to be the wisdom keepers, to be the holders of the secrets, and to share where we can. But as we are commanded by Christ, don't throw the pearls before the swine, because all they're
Right.
going to do is wallow in the mire and trample on it anyways.
Yes, it definitely. I think that a lot of all of this. I know that there's a lot of truthers out there that don't particularly engage in any kind of spiritual walk, or
Hmm.
don't believe in God or don't believe in Jesus or wherever they're at. But I'd
Hmm.
say that a majority of them seem it's to be able to really fully grasp all of this. I feel like you need, in a sense, some kind of spiritual understanding that the picture is so much bigger than what we see every day. And
Yes, I agree.
um so I, and sometimes I hate to say this, but I feel like sometimes when I'm talking to either my family or friends that I went to church with and grew up with, and um when I throw this stuff out there and I hear, the crickets in the background, and then the subject changes super quickly.
Hmm.
um but it kind of takes a toll on my soul, because I'm like, where are they spiritually from 10 years ago when I thought we were all on this spiritual journey together, and not they might just be going on a different one, but in my we're just going separate ways. And so, and when you're, I don't know, for me spiritually, that's hard because I'm wondering where they're at in their walk. And it's like, I don't want to keep digging too much and make someone feel like, you know, I don't know. It's just a different journey, but it's hard sometimes.
Yes, it's like, and I get this question a lot too, from different people that in their awakening, they talk about being unequally yoked with their spouse or with their loved ones, and how they may have been at a certain place when they got together, but then one took off, and really excelled and advanced and learned all these things, and then now the other doesn't want to hear it, doesn't want to listen, is not open to discussion on it, and they find themselves in completely different places. And a lot of people ask me, well, what do you do then? And my walk has been different because I've placed the kingdom as my priority, and as far as relationships with the opposite sex, or in engaging in relationship with the other, that's always been a secondary consideration for me. Because of that, I've been dedicated to servicing the kingdom and in becoming and following in the example of Christ. But I know for a lot of people that is not the way of it, that most people place relationship with a spouse or with a loved one, with the person that you share and have kids with. I mean, that is the most important thing. And it's totally understandable. I totally get that. But then when people are, again, finding themselves in two different places and on opposite sides of the spectrum, what do you do? And I'm certainly not the person to give advice with that regard, but I try to go ahead, Amy.
I can't even imagine, for starters, what that would be like. I feel grateful to have come into this truth, being able to go into a relationship with someone who already is aware of all of this stuff, because I see it tearing people apart, and that's really sad, because the truth should be bringing us together, especially in our intimate relationships. And I mean, that I can't even imagine being in that.
Especially because we're so excited about this.
Yes.
And we want to keep learning about where people are staying up all night long.
Yeah.
Right. And that's the beautiful thing too, is that when you can come together with another and you can share intimate and deep and profound discussion with regard to the things that we are talking about here, and that we share in discussion with others, it's so profound, and it can be a uniter. It can be something that really bonds people in a way that otherwise, other relationships and other people aren't able to share with one another. And so it can be a beautiful thing, as much as a curse as it can be on some relationships where people are, moving apart. It can also be a beautiful blessing in bringing people together.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Well, with regard to coming to knowledge on the flat earth, you were talking about how you had begun to research the Bible, and you had studied it, and that it affirmed these kind of things for you. How long have you been in walk with the Lord and been studying the scriptures? Is this something that you and your family have, participated in, gathered together lifelong, or can you talk about that?
I've been, I pretty much grew up going to church. My family all came to know the Lord pretty much, I think all of them, before I was born. But then my earliest memories of going to Calvary chapels and stuff were, I think I was like 8 and 9 with my little Precious Moments Bible. And after that, we kind of moved into Pentecostal churches. I remember a lot of those. And I was super involved in youth groups, and I led worship and went to all the camps. And So I've always been super close with the Lord, and but finding out all of this truth has opened up this whole new view of who God is and his purpose for us. And just my spirituality has taken such a shift and such a different road. And I really, really started to realize how narrow that road was. You know, I grew up being like, oh, the road is narrow. Come, we know we're all going together with our church group and our, you know, but still kind of living the same as everybody else. There was no difference between us and everybody else that wasn't going to church or wasn't going to youth camps or wasn't leading worship or, I kind of lost my train of thought now.
Oh, you were just talking about, you know, being, doing the same things as the world.
Yes. And so these doors that have been opening of truth made it more and more, almost every day, it seems like. I'm like, man, I got to get this out of my life. This isn't right. Or I got to change my way of thinking. This isn't going to help me or push me along in my journey if I'm thinking negative thoughts about myself or judging other people or comparing myself to other people or, and especially holding it in. That's really hard, is having all of this and not being able to fully discuss it like I would sit down with my girlfriends over, you know, beers and dinner and just talking about guys and parties and what are we doing next weekend. And,
Right.
you know, even though we're all believers and on Tuesday night we have Bible study and I don't know, just all of that stuff really started to change for me in the last couple years. And it's it's been very challenging, but also very rewarding. Yes. I wouldn't give any of it. I wouldn't change any of it.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things with this particular truth, that it's so massive and so paradigm shifting that it forces even, you know, individuals like David Weiss, where he said he was a militant atheist, and how so many people being opposed even to listening to any conversation or have any discussion on God or there being a supreme being or that we're made a special or in the image of the Most High, anything along those lines, that understanding that the Bible is encoded with this truth and has been for thousands of years, it forces people to reconsider whether the Bible is an inspired text or not. And then when you do see, you know, that you learn that the Bible is prophetic, 100% prophetic, and has spoken about events thousands of years in advance and has been truthful in every aspect of all the prophecies that are contained within it. Well, then it certainly forces you to consider, well, if this is the inspired word of God, the creator, and he's speaking about how he created the cosmology, well, then maybe there really is a God, and maybe we really are made in his image, and the earth was created as a special place of habitation. And so that forces even, you know, those militant atheists or those Darwinian evolutionists, whatever, it forces them to reconsider everything. And it can turn them 180 degrees in an instant, which is something that not a lot of truths have the power to do.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So have you seen that? I'm sure with your group, have you know, with 34,000 people, I'm sure that there's been many stories like that. You know, with regard to this as affecting people.
Oh yeah, there's plenty of people. It's actually really, really amazing to see people post that are, you know, a couple months down the road of watching all of this information that they thought was nonsense being delivered to them, come to realize that when they find out that the earth is flat, how much more they either believe that in a divine creator, or they come out of atheism and are like, wow, there's no way somebody didn't create this. And I think that is really awesome to see those kind of testimonies, because you just get that confirmation that God is using anything and everything to bring us to him. And, obviously we have our own free will and can choose to trust him or believe him. But those are some of my favorite stories to see posted on there. They'll just admit, I hated this group. I've been kicked out, but then for some reason I wanted back in and I didn't know why. And just watching it happen so quickly is really cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the life-changing implications. I mean, the first time you go and you realize that there is no measurable curvature and that the earth is not moving, your reality is shattered, and you're forced to pick up the pieces and to try to make sense, to piece together the puzzle of truth once more, and to do it in a way that you can better understand it and then make sense of the world around you. And we come to realization that there is a deeper, spiritual war going on here, and that what Paul references as the powers, the principalities, the rulers of darkness and wickedness in high places, that this is really what is going on behind the scenes.
Right.
The eye at the top of the Illuminati pyramid, all of that, it all ties in together with this. And we'll talk more about that when we come back from break, as far as, how this truth totally destroys the Darwinian heliocentric worldview, and the next aspect of it, which, in my opinion, has to do with bringing forth the Antichrist as an ancient alien extraterrestrial savior.
Yeah.
We'll be right back, everyone. The grand deception as matrix is all-encompassing, consuming, and broad-reaching, yet so covert in imposition it is largely unnoticed by those born into its nurturance. What if all we thought we knew of truth was sequestered upon lies, carefully manufactured science, craftily complicated algorithms meant undecipherable? Comfortable in deceit and the convenience of routine, most reject truth when confronted by it. People do not like being told that they have been bamboozled, especially by those systems they have invested trust within. All right, welcome back, everybody, for a second hour. I'm your host, Zen Garcia. This is Secrets Revealed. That was one of my poems, The Grand Matrix, a portion of it. And the reason I brought it up is because in the chat room, there's conversation going on about the Grand Matrix and about the paradigm shifting capacity of this huge revelation. And as to what we were talking about before we went to break, about how it is also tied to the strong delusion. And it's my opinion that, this will be the next phase of what is the great deception, and that is the unveiling of an extraterrestrial, ancient alien savior, counterfeit savior, Messiah. Again, I have as co-host with me this evening Cathy Dunson and special guest Amber Plaster, who I have dubbed the Flat Earth Muse. And so, Amber, would you care to comment on that?
On the alien Messiah?
Yes.
Interesting. I haven't dug into that a whole lot. I do believe between HARP and the brainwashing of Americans, actually the entire world, through Hollywood and through money system and through materialism, and through whatever's in the skies, these UFOs, these sightings, these abductions. I do think that there's definitely something coming that if you're not prepared for it, you will fall for it. And I mean, I don't really know even what to say about that. It's so deep, and so there's so much that I don't understand about what's being built, but I know that we're all being deceived about it. And I think that that's why it's so close, or so important to keep digging for truth and allowing yourself to be susceptible to having open eyes.
Yes, absolutely. Very, very important. Because, what we have all learned, those of us that are open to these new possibilities is that we in no way had a grasp on what's going on in the world, nor do we recognize truth in all the manners that we thought that we did. I'll share really quickly just a couple comments. Richard in the chat room said, so many people disillusioned by millennial lies, all for self-propagation. Bill says, so true, Zen. When you are set apart and know the truth, there is no turning back. And the thing about this, again, as far as this particular revelation, is that we have the Copernican system establishing the foundation for Darwinism, and the belief, as they're teaching it now in the educational systems, to all of the children, indoctrinate them into belief that we all evolved of monkeys, and that there are all these other suns out there, that all the stars are individually suns, they all have planetary systems, and that they all have possible Earths revolving and orbiting around them in these Goldilocks zones, which that's what created life, and not that there's some grand designer or some special God out there. And so that driving force and that indoctrination has separated a lot of children from belief in God, or from embracing Christianity, or even studying and reading the scriptures for themselves. They think that science trumps the gospel, and that science has proven that there's all these different Earths, and that there is no God, and that we simply evolved of monkeys, and that we're nothing special at all. And because of embracing that, they are led astray and they run rampant. They are open to involving themselves in sin and into doing whatever it is they want, just like as Satanism teaches to their followers, do as thou wilt. And because of that, so many people are led astray. And the majority of the world, in my opinion, that this topic and this paradigm, this worldview, has separated more people from God and from belief in his word and his scriptures and his cosmology than any other belief system, which, in my opinion, is why it's so important and relevant to talk about and to do your research with regard to study of it.
Absolutely. And I think that it's important to have, this is why I go back to, it's important to have a spiritual life and a walk with God. And for me personally, I have to ask the Holy Spirit for that wisdom and discernment about what I'm reading and information that I'm being introduced to, because there is a lot of fake stuff out there, and there is a lot of stuff thrown in to confuse people. And so I think that it's important that we're constantly cross-checking even ourselves, our own research, because there's so much deception everywhere we look, from medicine to our schools. And it's sad that our parents didn't know that they were teaching us things that weren't true.
Right. And
when you find out that those things aren't true, of course you're going to question God and everything you grew up with religiously, or it's kind of scary how much deception it is. But that's why I said earlier that more and more I'm realizing that road really is narrow, and that Jesus really meant it when he said, don't conform to the ways of the world, because it's a trap. It's all a trap.
Yes.
And I mean, I can't even barely watch movies anymore without being annoying to people. I was usually the one that was like, don't talk. Nobody talk during this movie. I'm into it. And then every 5 minutes I see something that is some kind of subliminal message, or something that is, this repetition of, I don't know, it's, and then I'm the annoying one. So I can barely
But you're
watch
just
movies.
trying to point it out to them, You're just trying to say, did you see that Illuminati pyramid, that eye at the top, and, all that.
But then they're saying, well, they're like, so what? And you're thinking,
right. Oh, yeah, right. You have no idea.
Do we need to pause this for an hour so I can explain what?
Right, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and and then again, it goes back to the gospel. Christ said, speak I to them in parables, for they seeing see not, hearing hear not, and neither do they understand, which
Yeah.
is so very true, because people have no idea as to all these subliminal messages and the ideologies, these musicians covering the eye or
Yeah.
floating these triangles, or, all of that, all of the open and blatant uh, Luciferian satanic rituals taking place during like the Super Bowl or
Yep.
the MTV Music Awards. I mean, they're just parading it in front of us, and yet most of the world is asleep at the wheel and they can't see it, and it doesn't make any sense to them. It's just like, oh, okay, they're all dressed in black hooded robes and there's a devil, with
Yeah.
horns out there on the stage with them, and it just completely goes
It's amazing how desensitized we are to darkness.
right.
Whether it's even in the tones of music or um, the way that a song can suck you in, and you think you're singing about, some bubblegum pop boyfriend song, and somewhere in there is hidden this message of, self and destruction and darkness. And it's I know that you notice it more the more awake you are, but
Right.
it still blows my mind that people, especially people who are claiming to be followers of Christ or Christians, that they're still participating in so much of this and investing their money in these movies and these music
Right.
concerts, and they don't even realize that they're worshiping the person that's on the stage when
Yes.
they think they're just having a good time. But it's crazy. It's hard to go to concerts now for me. It's hard to go to the movies. And it is sad because I do feel separated from a lot of people and
Right.
things that used to be fun. But yeah, it's and it gets scarier and scarier, I feel,
Yeah,
because
we're not of the world anymore,
right. And
But
I
yeah,
feel like in the last few years, I've really come to understand what that means. I would run
right.
around being like, yeah, in the world, not of the world,
Right.
like
Right.
I'm special or whatever, I'm set apart. But really understanding that your life changes.
Yes.
Like I've called myself a Christian for as long as I can remember. And now that I'm faced with living up to that, because of all of these truths, it's amazing, and I love it, and I'm so excited to keep learning and being challenged. But at the same time, it really is heartbreaking and it's sad, and in a sense, because you grieve, your flesh grieves what
Yes.
it can
Yes.
no longer
Absolutely.
participate in.
Right.
But
Right.
it's amazing.
Right. And, that relationship that we have, because Christ said that he is within us and that the kingdom is within. And it's that conscience that we carry everywhere with us that no longer allows us to participate in the world or to participate in so much that mainstream churchianity is involved in. We
Right.
see how they are steeped in idolatry and involved in paganism.
And
And
conforming.
yes, and
Yeah.
conforming and subjugating themselves and opening themselves to all these demonic influences. And we can't just do that without recognizing that we are jeopardizing, or that, we are involving ourselves in sin. And so it makes it very difficult for those of us that have chosen to really embrace the walk with every action, every thought, every behavior. I mean, every moment, because it really is like the old Disney cartoons where you have the devil talking to you from your left shoulder and the
Yeah.
good angel talking to you from your right. And every moment you have opportunity, a choice to make, whether you want to follow the broad path of destruction or to walk the narrow way. And most people choose to, at least for 6 days of the week, to walk the broad path, of
Yeah.
destruction. But for those that are really, really seeking the kingdom and that are diligent to God's truth and trying to follow the commandments, that's not an option for us anymore.
Right.
Yes, Christ said, "My kingdom is not of this world," and we being in the world but not of the world, we still have to keep a foot in it and try to, we still have to make money to pay our bills and to live, give unto Caesar what is Caesar's. But it's still, it's very difficult to try to navigate that and to keep a foot in both worlds.
Yes.
And so those, but it's a beautiful thing for those of us that really do recognize that, because in my opinion, we are so blessed to have the eyes to see, the ears to hear, and a mind to understand.
Right. And I feel like the beauty of it really is that you start to realize how much God really loves you. It's not just some story of like some man in the clouds who loves you like a dad, which he does, but at the same time, it's so much deeper than that. And it's so much bigger and than we can even imagine. Like, I think having a child, I don't have any children myself, but I imagine that that's as close as you get to really realizing God's love for you. And then with all of these truths, how much more do you realize that when you're walking in sin, or you're walking that fence with your foot, stuck in the black goo on the other side, because you want to be a part of the world and fit in, but yet you want to be righteous and be a warrior for truth. But it's like, you do have to choose at some point. And, the more the more you're accountable to. So it does make it difficult. And I've been doing so much letting go lately of things that I either wanted or dreamed as a young girl, or, that God never wanted for me. And it was the world that told me that I needed it or desired it, or that it was attractive, and realizing that there really are two entities that are out for your soul. One's going to love it and cherish it, and the other one's just going to destroy it.
Right.
So,
and have you fall with him.
Yeah, absolutely. There's, oh man.
Yes.
But I think that has been the most beautiful part for me in the last few years, is just realizing, oh my gosh, yeah, I believed that God loved me, but he really, really loves me. I mean, that's not even a good enough word in my view,
Yeah. It reminds me, what you were talking about as far as the parable of the talents, and how those that are given more will be given unto them, and trusted that do something with the gifts and the truth and the knowledge that we have been blessed and given to have, that more will be required of us. But the other thing is the prodigal child, how we all left and we all trampled on our duties and our sacred vow to our father and to our family. We went out in the world. We wanted to party and have fun and live like everybody else, and to indulge ourselves in all of the vices and the carnal temptations of this world. And then coming to realization that there's nothing prosperous in that all of that is really an illusion, and what is real is the love of the Father, the family, the deeper aspects of life, and what we are really here to do. And then coming back and being ashamed and feeling not worthy, and thinking that really we should be in the doghouse, and yet God calls the servants to gather the robe and to bring out the signet ring and to gather the table for celebration. My child has returned, let's celebrate, and just embraces us and coming together in tears in that manner. How just deeply profound that is.
Yep. It seems to get, the love is deeper and brighter, and every day it's such a beautiful journey. I just want to bring everybody with me.
Yes. And that's the other thing, as far as God in the scriptures, is that this is the reason he is long suffering with us, as it says in Peter, is that he wants not any of us to fall to the deceptions of Satan in leading us all astray, because the fallen angels, they know that we are the fig tree generation, that their time is almost up, that their end is coming, and they want to take as many of us as they can with them. Even the demons recognize, they said, they recognized Christ. They said, you are the Son of God, and have you come to torment us before our time? And so they
Mm,
know that their time is soon to be up, and it is sad that most of the world is led astray, and
yeah.
that they have no love of the truth. They're not even concerned for it. They're not even seeking it. They spend none of their time searching it out, and
Right.
that's the sad thing.
It really is, because ultimately you can't convince anybody of anything.
Right. And you can't, force them to read or study anything or make it important to their lives. Like,
Right.
all of us, we love our families, our loved ones, our children, our parents, our grandparents, our friends, even people that we've never even had a chance to meet that we share discussion with over groups like this. We're concerned with our fellow humanity.
Hmm.
We want nothing but love for the children, a safe place for them to grow up and to nourish, and to give them the real secrets, those things which can truly impact and affect their lives and lead them to the truth that is Christ, that he
Hmm.
truly is the way, the truth, and the light. And to give that to somebody, that is the most beautiful blessing. And that when you share that and somebody actually gets it, the angels are just in celebration.
Yeah.
They're shouting for joy in the heavens, and they're so glad that another person has been brought out of the darkness and led to the light, and just how beautiful
Yeah.
that is.
It really is.
Yeah. And so that's our walk, and it's a beautiful thing to see that you are placing that as your focus and your emphasis. And I think that, again, with your talents and with what you are able to do with your voice and your singing and your songs, that you are going to impact just so many people and bring so many, so that there's going to be celebrations daily in the heavens, in my
Well,
opinion. It's a
yeah.
beautiful
Well,
thing.
I definitely feel blessed that um, God even opened this door for me, because I mean, getting messages from people that have said something to the effect of, you reignited my love for Christ, or my love for truth, or, I was giving up on it all. And hearing people say they've come out of a dark place after even knowing the truth. And then because of the isolation that it causes, people wanting to give up on it, and
Uh-huh.
then having some piece of art strike them in a way, it's so amazing to me. And that's the best part for me, that I get to rejoice over, because God did that. I didn't do
Yes.
that,
Right.
so, but I really do hope to continue to do that. And I think the beauty of it is you're taking something that seems so scientific, and you're putting this passion behind it,
Mm-hmm.
and singing something, even to people who think that it's, flat earth is satire,
Mm-hmm.
um, and being able to sing something funny, quote unquote, um, with such passion and seriousness, I
Mm-hmm.
think really makes people question, is this for real? And like, maybe I should
Right.
look up these lighthouses and how they
Yeah.
work, or maybe I should look up if the ship is really going over the curve, or and then being able to throw in also not only facts, but something that is so rooted in me, which is my spiritual walk,
Mm-hmm.
by throwing in something about all, it's not an exact number, but the amount of scripture that supports this, what I'm singing
Yes.
about.
Right.
So I really feel so, I guess, honored and blessed that God is using something that I've wanted to use my whole life. And then he had to get me to a point where it's like, it's not about me. It's about
Right.
the truth. It's about God. It's
Mm.
about our Father. And it makes it even so much more fun, because it's like,
Yes.
wow, I'm in the army. I'm fighting now.
Yes.
It's not
Yes.
just about, sales or being famous or whatever. Like,
Right.
I, it's so beautiful. I love it.
Yeah. It's so much larger than
Yes.
you. Uh,
Exactly. And funny, well, it's not funny, it's actually really cool, but I had been praying that for so long. Like, I asking God, I want to be a part of something that's bigger than myself. I'm sick
yeah.
of self. I'm sick of trying to, you know, be approved of by other people, or create this lifestyle that other people think is cool or looks good or whatever. I was like, God, throw me into something where I'm not thinking about myself and I'm thinking about the goal and the outcome. And when this happened, it was like, well, first Flat Earth and then the song. And it was just, it's kind of snowballing now. I'm just watching all these doors be opened in even personal areas of my life. And it's so amazing when you surrender.
Yes,
It's
it really is.
so amazing.
Yeah, that's the other beautiful side of it, is that when you choose to, as Matthew 6 says, to prioritize the kingdom, and you dedicate yourself to something that is larger than you, and that you serve God in the way that he wishes and wills for you to do so, the doors just open, and the opportunities, the windows of opportunity just open, because you're doing what he wants you to do anyways. And what, most people in their lives, they never come to an understanding or to where they are serving out their real purpose for being here. They never discover that. And because of that, at the end of their lives, when they're reflecting back on everything they've done and everything that they've had chance to do with all their time, effort, and space, they feel empty. And that's the beautiful thing about this, is we are being filled, and that we are doing what is real with our time and our effort, and what we truly, because it's my opinion that really all of us, our sacred vow, that what we had promised to God before coming into the flesh, that all of us wanted to serve him and to serve the kingdom and to align ourselves with him, and doing the things that we're doing, we're fulfilling that role, that mission. And that is very, very special, because so few actually embrace that with their time and their effort. And in my opinion, that's the most important thing that any of us can do, is fulfill our true roles and missions for being here at this time, at this place.
Yeah, I agree with that.
All right, well, we'll be right back, everyone, for final segment. And it's been a really blessed conversation. We'll be right back, everyone. All right, welcome back, everybody, for final segment. I want to share this comment from Jason in the chat room. He says, I believe in the Christ consciousness. I do not believe Jesus will come and save us all. If I'm wrong, that is okay, but I don't believe in looking to an outside force to rescue us. That's an opening for destruction, for allowing tyranny to reign, to accept evil that I will not stand for. My reply to him was this. I was caught up in the New Age for 20 years and directly involved in studying shamanism and doing vision quests. And then God brought me to the truth that he does have a son, and that he sent his son in the world in order to rectify the fall. I pray that you also be led and brought to the truth of this. And one other thing, I also said, keep seeking, Jason. I once believed all of that myself until I learned and studied all of the prophecies connected to the incarnation of Christ in his first and second coming. Then I realized that he truly is the truth, the way, and the light. And that was the thing that turned me and brought me out of the New Age into believing like Jason, is that I studied the prophecies concerning Christ. And just in the Old Testament itself, there's 300 and some prophecies that he fulfilled. And that even the stars, the Mazzaroth, the story of the stars and the constellations, they talk about the coming of Christ, how he would be born of a virgin, how he would crush the head of the serpent, how he would redeem us and rectify the fall. And this is the whole reason for the story of his incarnation and his coming and the gospel. And this is why so many that study this and try to debunk it and to prove that Jesus or Yeshua never existed, that we have accepted and understood that the prophecies and all the signs in the heavens and the earth and in the scriptures, that all of those being 100% factual and connected to what has historically occurred over generations and eons of time, that only God could have authored that story. And so that's why we're believers now. Amber?
Yeah, I agree with you on that, definitely. I never really got into much of the New Age. I feel like I heard enough from plenty of people to kind of stay away from it and not tap into it too much. But because I felt like I already knew who Christ was to me. And when you are, I know anybody can say that once you know your truth, but it wasn't just my truth. It was confirmed over and over and over again in my doubt and through my walk and through my turning away from him and returning. And so, and the more that I do learn about the stars in the sense of astronomy and not astrology, right. It really is cool that it's all been written already. I mean, all of it. And to watch it unfold, to be alive today and watch it unfold this way is truly, I think, a privilege. Yes. and a blessing to be a witness to all of this. It's really, right. really eye-opening and awesome. Yeah. Sometimes I'm scared and I'm like, why was I born in this generation? It's terrible. But it really, the more I understand it, the more beautiful it becomes.
Right. And how even the prophets, the patriarchs and the apostles, they long to see the coming and to live in the generation that we are privileged to be a part of. These are exciting times. Yes, they are scary, especially for those that aren't believers, that don't know what's coming or that there is salvation through Christ. That yes, it would be a very scary and trying time, but that's what encourages others and encourages people to get off of the fence and to do some research. Right. Use your time wisely, what we have remaining, because we do live, in very precarious times, that we have to use our time wisely. We're not promised any more tomorrows. This day could be our last. And you have to question whether, if this is your last day and you have no more tomorrows, do you feel like you learned what you were here for? Do you really think that you have looked into, understood, and answered the larger questions of who we are, why we're here, and what all of this is about? Because most people, they can't say no. I mean, they can't say yes to that. And so that means that there's still more to learn. Amber?
Right. Yeah, I mean, ultimately, all I can say to that is that it's always been about God. I mean, even our very creation, it was for his glory. And yes. Once again, it's not about me. It's not about us as individuals, but who God is and the story that he's telling through us and through his creation. He's constantly talking to us through things that are created, whether they speak or not. And the fact that we can speak and communicate and commune with him is the purpose. And until we realize that we have an enemy that seeks to sever that, yes, I think that we're missing out. People are missing out on like you mentioned earlier, the fullness of everything that we are. We're so much more than, I mean, our potential, I feel like, has been so dwindled down to nothing that people don't believe that we can move mountains, and people don't believe that we can walk on water. And I think that there's an army rising up of people that will do that. Yes. Because they're starting to realize that through Jesus, we have been given power, and Jesus himself said that we would be doing things greater than he did. I mean, why don't we believe that? Why aren't we walking in that anymore? Right. I mean, you have the Pentecostals and they're doing all of this, casting out demons and all their fancy, fluffy stuff and some weird stuff. But, their power is even so much bigger than that. And we should be walking around and being able to touch people and heal them because Jesus said we could. Yes. So I'm excited to see a lot of this unfold. Right. and to see the division more and more severe, as far as, the truthers standing up for truth and the people that don't want anything to do with it to just, be on with their way.
Yeah, let those who are evil commit evil still, and those that are righteous be righteous. And so, yeah, I do agree with you that we are living in those times where we're going to see miracles, occurring, and that we are seeing miracles, that even us sharing this platform and bringing forth truth on even just this one topic, how it is changing people's lives, and it is forcing them to get on their knees and to seek relationship with the Creator, the Most High God, the one that masterminded all of this, the Holy Trinity, the Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit, those that pre-existed and brought all things into being, that Christ spoke with his word, everything, sang the creation into being. And learning all of those things is so deeply profound. But the most incredible aspect of it is that we can have direct relationship with our Father, and that we can come to know truth without having an intercessory, without having to go through the Catholic Church or the Pope as a vicar, or cardinals or priests or anybody else, that we can read and study the gospel, and in showing ourselves approved, the Holy Spirit will lead us to truth and discernment, that we don't need anybody else to give us guidance or direction, or to go to our pastors or preachers, or to sit in a church pew and to listen to some sermon, that we can study it for ourselves, and that we can be guided directly to greater truths and greater understanding.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, absolutely. And so that's a beautiful thing. And Cathy, I want to give you a chance to comment. I know you've been feeling puny and feeling sick, and we appreciate you coming on with us, sister. But I didn't want to, because we've been kind of dominating the testimony and the time here. But did you have anything you'd like to share, or Cathy?
Uh-oh.
I turned my mic off.
Oh, there we go.
Oh, okay, sorry.
I never wanted to do that. You guys have covered so many different things, and it's been such a wonderful conversation to hear. I'm just really touched by it. And, you touch on the deeper things that people are so quick to just write off with Platter.
Yes.
Yeah, they just quickly dismiss it and say it's not a salvation issue. It's and that really upsets me, because it really is to the people who've been saved.
Right.
And it's
and
such
led
a
astray.
way. Yes, and it's bringing more people to awakening and realization. I mean, when you sit back and you realize, hey, I've been lied to, and then you know who that liar is, and then more importantly, realizing where God is, and that there's a firmament above, because I believe that. I mean, that's one of these arguments within the community. But I mean, when you realize that, when you look at the rainbow, when you look at the sunset, and you see that line of the beam of light that comes across the water, and you think that couldn't happen if it's 93 million miles away. There's all these little things that happen. And to me, after all the mourning processes I've gone through, because there've been multiple ones, in learning the deep truths, the 9/11 or the banking monstrosities, because I'm a financial person, so I go there. But I mean, these things have been horrific, and I've mourned. I mean, I've been physically sick over it. This is so different, and it's such a joy. And then to meet someone like you, Amber, and what a unique voice you bring to the community.
Thank you.
It's just, and we all are getting to know one another. And I think there's so much validity to these, to this virtual way of getting to know one another. Mark mentioned on his show that there are these hangouts that go on for 7-8 hours, and they're just going on all the time.
Wow.
Yes. And I thought, this is another way for people who are researching, and they just get together, and they're not frivolously talking or, trash talking like you see so much in youth today. These people are getting together and sharing this joy and sharing what they have learned. And it's amazing. I wish I had that kind of time to do that. I'm sure I'd learn a lot of stuff like I find in comments sometimes. So this is going on too. I mean, it's just wonderful. So thank you, Amber, for joining us.
Yeah, my pleasure. I've loved being here, listening to you guys and talking with you.
Yeah, it's been a great pleasure, and I most certainly feel the spirit moving through our conversation and reaching out to others. And we never know what it is that's going to touch a person's life,
right,
and turn them around completely to the truth and force them to get on their knees and to pray for discernment, for truth, and for direct relationship. And so it's things like this and just gathering together, because Christ said where two or more are gathered, and in doing that, this really is church. And that that when people hear us speak, that one person, they may hear exactly what they needed to in order to really bring them, to get them on their knees and to seek out God in personal revelation and relationship. And that's the beautiful thing of our gathering, our sharing, and even the songs. And I do please encourage people to listen to Amber's songs. I feel like you're going to be very blessed and deeply touched, and that they are there's a lot of profound truths connected and encoded, written into them. And so can you once again, Amber, share where people can go to find your work and to hear these songs and to be blessed by them?
Honestly, it's slipping my mind, like all of the exact places where they are. I know that Hello Flat Earth is, there's probably about 20 to 25 videos on YouTube that people have made of their own with that song. So just typing in, just search YouTube for that. Star Trails can be found on my YouTube channel. It's just Amber Plaster. You can't miss my profile picture, so you'll know it's that one. And then Mike Jack.
It's ODD TV.
Yeah,
Earth,
ODD
Earth
TV.
Not a Globe.
Yeah, is the Moana cover. So those are the three ones that are out right now.
Excellent. And once more, your efforts to collaborate, and what if somebody listening to this wants to reach out to you to gather together? And are you currently, because I know that you have a musical background, are you currently in a band, or are you seeking to gather with others in that manner? Where are you with that?
I am not in a band. I'm definitely open to collaborating with other musicians who, maybe write just the music and don't have lyrics or don't even have melodies. I would love to work with other truthers who have a common goal of spreading the truth, which is the reason I want to put out this album. And I think it would be awesome to have an album full of a bunch of people all working together on it. It might be a little difficult, not being in person, but it is possible. And I believe that for sure. And if God wants it to happen, obviously it's going to happen. So, but that's the goal. So if anybody listening, has ideas that they'd love to share, you can message me on Facebook or I guess YouTube as well. I'm still getting used to all of these platforms of social media, but I'm open to all ideas and types of music. So
excellent. Well, once again, we appreciate you coming on and sharing with us in the manner that you do. Can you talk a little bit about the Flat Earth Conference? Because I know that you are involved in that, and you'll be singing, or what's exactly?
Yeah, I haven't heard a whole lot of new information in the last month or two, probably. Uh, I guess the rumor was going around that I'll be singing, which I still hope to. I don't know if the venue will allow it yet. I don't know if they're looking for a different venue, or there's still details that aren't really, I don't feel like I can speak much about it because I really don't know all the details. I'm shooting for it and hoping that I'll get to perform along with, ODD TV and whoever else.
Oh, they're going to rap or
yeah, I don't know. I think it would be.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I think it would be so fun. He gets
jam,
no doubt.
To throw in a little chorus or something, and we'll just get everybody jumping and off their feet. That'd be fun.
Right, that'd be the perfect way to open it.
Yeah.
Let me mention real quick before we do run out of time. I checked today, and the tickets have gone up from their original early bird price. It's now $120. So if somebody wants to go, be sure and go to fe2017.com and get your tickets. And I'm not sure about rooms at the hotel, so you can get tickets to stay or get a hotel room. See, I don't feel good. Get a hotel room. I mean, honestly, I'm here.
And the other thing is that Sacred Word Publishing, our publishing company, that we are one of these sponsors at the Flat Earth Conference. And so Cathy, along with Laurel and now her sister-in-law, will be taking a bunch of our books and my books on the Flat Earth and the Firmament and others that we've published, the Alex Gleason, The Earth is Not a Globe, Gabrielle Henriette, Heaven and Earth, and others that we're working on there to the conference to share with others. And that we're also going to be doing video and shooting, the meetings and the gatherings, and we're going to be videoing Amber singing as well, and
the
streaming
challenge.
all that.
I wonder.
Oh yes.
Yes, well, we have the
Earth
challenge going now. I mean, we're going to fund that escrow account, but I wonder how we can wrap it up there, because nobody's going to be able to win that. Nobody can prove it.
Right. Yeah. I don't know if you've heard of this, Amber, but we have put up $8,750 in the Flat Earth Challenge for anybody that can create 2 experiments which will confirm either that the Earth is moving at a rate of greater than 50 miles per hour, or that there is measurable curvature. And those of you that are physical scientists, buffs out there, that if you can create 2 experiments which will verify and prove, then you can win the money. And this is our open challenge to the world, the community. And also I need to mention that Flat Earth Store, I forget his name exactly, he contacted me and he said that we should create a challenge and then broadcast it to all of the universities and challenge their students, and their even their staff and all of these scientists, astrophysicists, all of these different colleges and communities, to challenge them, see if anyone, because starving students. This will be a great way for them to fund their
and
education.
I think there's some more big money too. There's like $10,000 or $15,000 more on top of what we've initially put together.
Right.
But it's something that was sent to Mark specifically, and he keeps mentioning that. He keeps saying it's like over 20,000, and it probably is all combined. So that's very well. So I'm thinking something needs to happen at the conference to close those out.
Address it, yes.
Right. Yeah, that'd be cool.
Right. Yeah. And so we're going to be doing that. But anyways, one more time, your contact information, your YouTube, Facebook, just Amber Plaster, is that correct?
Yeah, I try to keep it as simple as possible.
Yeah, smart. All right, excellent. Well, we've got just about 4 minutes remaining, so I want to give you opportunity to share final comment, anything that you'd like to say to the listening audience, to your community of Flat Earth believers, or anything that you'd like to wrap up the show with.
Wow. Well, I definitely just want to say thank you for everybody that's listening right now. it's awesome to have the support system that we do in this community. I've actually been lucky enough to be able to travel a little bit and meet a handful of you. And that's been so awesome. I mean, people opening up their homes for me to stay in during travel. And I hope to do that more the rest of this year. So don't be surprised if I'm like, hey, I'm in your state, you know, I need a place to sleep.
Right.
But so thank you to all of you for your support, not only for the music, but just for being loving and continuing to spread truth and being bold. Being bold is so encouraging to the other ones, because we all get weak and we all get scared and we all get bombarded with too much information at times. And then we just want to give it all up. And it's like this wave. I see this wave happening all the time of picking each other up and saying, don't give up on this. You know, we're so close to such an amazing awakening, and it's really beautiful. And then actually real quick, I would actually love to pray for Cathy, just Please. With everybody agreeing with me that, yeah, thank you. I will definitely. Okay. Father, I just thank you so much for the opportunity to be on this show. And I just want to pray a huge blessing over Cathy right now, whatever illness she's dealing with, foggy mind or physical or spiritual, whatever it is, Lord. I just pray that you would bless her. And I believe right now through your son, Jesus Christ, for healing over her body and her mind, and that she would be back up to par in no time. And I just thank you for her presence and inviting me onto this awesome radio show. And thank you so much. And we give you all the glory and all the praise.
You too. Thank
Amen.
You.
Thank you very much. Yeah,
Thank you, Amber.
Yes, absolutely. Blessing. I think that it's important that we keep praying for each other. You know, I think
most certainly.
I've for so long was always praying for myself. And when I started praying for other people, I realized how much more blessing there is in that for everybody. Right. It's kind of that the more, if we were all serving each other, then no one would ever need anything, but we're so consumed serving ourselves and feeding ourselves and clothing ourselves. But it's amazing that when we give the shirt off of our back, God gives us 10 more shirts to continue to give. And it's like, you know, I think that there should be more prayer in our communities and more giving.
Absolutely. Yes. Because that is the example that Christ set for all of us. You know?
Yes.
When they asked him who is greatest amongst us as the apostles, he bent the knee and began to wash their feet and showed to them an example that we are to serve one another, to love one another as we love him and as we love the Father. And that's what it's really all about, that the fullness of the law is love, that God is love, and that we are to give that and share that and honor that within each other.
I always like what you say, Zen, to be a foot washer. I like that.
Yes.
Fishermen and foot washers.
Right. Exactly. Yes. Yes. To be humble servants. Yeah. Fishermen and foot washers. Yes. Well, thank you, Amber, again so much.
Thank you, guys.
It was a great blessing, and we look forward to hearing more of your songs and to see. And
very soon. Very soon.
Excellent.
All right.
God
thanks,
bless
guys.
all of you. Thank you, everyone, and thank you for joining us, everybody in the chat room. I pray the Most High leads you in discernment, guide and protect you, your families, your loved ones. Until next